Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome, my fellow Doctor Who fans. So there's so many more huge rumours about the Doctor Who 60th anniversary special. Now, as far as I know, because everyone on Twitter's saying it, not because I've seen anyone officially saying it, is we're getting 3 60th anniversary specials. I'm going to assume it's going to be a mini-series where obviously each episode continues and the last episode concludes that story. So yesterday, the official Doctor Who social media account put up that iconic sequence when the Doctor, Bill Hartnell's Doctor, locks out his granddaughter Susan of the TARDIS and tells her it's time to make her own life with David, which she does. And that's the last time we ever saw her, and he does that whole sometime, one day I'll come back. A very emotional one, and they were talking about how this was the first parting of the ways between the Doctor and really his first companion, his granddaughter. So now social media has gone to the huge leap that this means this is a hint that Susan will return for the 60th anniversary specials. So let me know what you think about this. I'll tell you what I think. For me, Susan is the most important companion there's ever been because literally she's his grandchild and he hasn't seen her since his first incarnation. Now, you're going to say to me, what first incarnation? What about the Timeless Children? Look, I don't want to get into that, right? I don't think the character was the Doctor when Tech Tae-yoon found said character. So that's how I explain that away. But we're not talking about those complexities and those divisions of that storyline today. We're celebrating Doctor Who and we're talking about the 60th, something that's got to celebrate the history of Doctor Who. People say it shouldn't be nostalgic. You're celebrating 60 years of something. God damn right you should be damn nostalgic. That's the whole point of doing anniversary specials. When it's my birthday, I think back. I think back to what I've done in my life. When I was 50 last year, I thought back to the past 50 years or what I can remember of it. So, anniversaries and celebrations are all about nostalgia. Do I think Susan will return? Look, there's so many rumours out there. It could have just been a video that they put up there. I mean, the timing is interesting. Now, I am surprised that Carol Ann Ford has never reprised her role in the revival of Doctor Who. Has she not been invited? Has she turned the offer down? I don't think Carol would do that. I don't know if she has. It just looks like she's never been invited back. I'm sure that they've talked about it in terms of RTD, Moffat, and even Chibnall, and decided not to go there. Look, Carol Ann Ford is Doctor Who royalty. It's as simple as that. She was excellent as Susan Fordman, the Doctor's granddaughter, and the on-screen chemistry between her and Bill Hartnell was absolutely magical. Just listening to Carol talking about those days and how the show was put together and, the first episode. And I've always said it. For me, An Unearthly Child Part 1 is the best pilot of a TV series I have ever seen. You can still go back and watch it. Yes, it's in black and white. I don't know if anyone's colorized that yet. I don't want to see it in color. I think it works better in black and white. I think color may expose some of, the then kind of ways they used to shoot stuff. So I think it looks better in black and white, but it's expertly written. It's such a brilliantly plotted first episode of something, even back then in 1963. So I would like nothing more than to see Carol Ann Ford reprise her role as Susan. And this is where my Doctor Who future theory comes in. Think about this for a minute. If Susan does come back, because what you do with her after she's cameoed is very important, because you could piss people off if you end her cameo and her appearance in the celebrations in the 60th anniversary special the wrong way. Could it be that Carol Ann Ford regenerates into Millie Gibson. Well, that is something I haven't thought about till these rumours and, the video of the Doctor parting ways with Susan was posted on the Doctor Who official social media, and I was thinking about this because I've been suspecting that maybe Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday is actually Susan Fordman. Now, of course, why is she called Ruby Sunday if she's Susan? Well, that could be the name that she's now using, so I suppose it could be an interesting thing, but then you'd have to say, well, how does Carol Ann Ford cameo? Well, this is an interesting thing as well. I don't know. It's just a theory. It's something that I'd like to happen. I'd love the Doctor to be travelling with Susan again. Why would this be so cool? Because it means Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor and Millie's Ruby Sunday don't have a romance. A lot of people are against another Doctor companion romance. Well, if Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday is in fact Susan Fordman, the Doctor's granddaughter, that's going to be a very interesting, dynamic, and there's no romance there. It would be pretty disgusting if Susan and the Doctor had a romance, considering they're related. Wouldn't happen. So there is a possibility that Carol Ann Ford does regenerate into Millie Gibson, and I think that would be brilliant. I think this would be very refreshing, for the companion Doctor dynamic going forward, considering they haven't travelled together for a long time. They're both from Gallifrey. Or I suppose I said I wasn't going to talk about the Timeless Child thing, but the Timeless Child situation does affect Susan, because obviously she has the Doctor's DNA, and somewhere along the lines, that DNA means that she's has links to wherever the Doctor's from originally on the other universe. So that will be a very interesting dynamic to have on the TARDIS as well. But I just think if Millie Gibson is actually Susan, a version of Susan, a regenerated version of Susan, and, there's reasons why she's changed her name. I'm sure if this is a thing. Look, this is just a theory of mine. This is how they could possibly do it. And as I say, nothing would make me more happier than Susan and the Doctor travelling together again. And it will be new, because it'll be Millie Gibson. It won't be Carol. Obviously, Carol's not getting any younger. She's not going to be travelling around with the Doctor again full time. And I don't think general audiences really want to see that anyway. But if you bring a young, vibrant, talented actress into it, like Millie Gibson, for me, one of the best actors around in the world right now, I think it could really work. So, listen, as Doctor Who fans, we've all wanted to see Susan return from the moment she left all those years ago. I mean, I'm not old enough to remember that, and I didn't even used to watch Doctor Who back then. I mean, look, I'm 50 years old, so work it out for yourselves. I didn't start watching Doctor Who until the Peter Davison era began. So, and I'm learning new things about Doctor Who all the time, even though I started watching it in the 80s, because there's a lot of classic Who I've never even touched or watched before. I've never read the comics. I don't know who Beat the fucking Meep is, and I don't give a shit about Beat the Meep. If you do care about Beat the Meep, hey, respect to you, but I don't even know what all the fuss is about. I remember when everyone on the internet was going, Beat the Meep, Beat the Meep. I go, who the fuck is Beat the Meep? What's going on here? I've never heard of Beat the Meep. I thought people were just making this shit up. I thought you all made Beat the Meep up. I didn't know Beat the Meep. Who the fuck is Beat the Meep? Anyway, I've never read the Doctor Who comics, where apparently this is where Beat the Meep's from, and Beat the Meep is going to appear, cameo, or have a big role in the Doctor Who 60th anniversary special. For me, it's not something that particularly excites me, but I know a lot of you out there are excited, so good for you, and I hope he or she or whatever genderization Beat the Meep is a cool thing for you lot to see. So we wanted Susan back for a very long time, but it's something we haven't got. We might not get it this time. I think it would be cool to see Carol Ann Ford as Susan again, and maybe her regenerating as Ruby Sunday. That would be cool. As I say, traveling, Susan and the Doctor traveling together again, I think would solve a lot of problems for me personally, because I don't want to see another romantic kind of situation. Ultimately, the Doctor may look like a young, cool dude like Ncuti Gatwa, but the Doctor is a lot older than he looks in most of his regenerations. So the reality of the situation is you're talking about, a character that's over 2,000 years old, however old the Doctor is now, maybe having a romance with a 19, 20-year-old girl, or however old Millie's supposed to be, in the show as Ruby Sunday. So you don't really want to go there. And I can tell you, today's general audiences won't like that type of thing. And I think we do need to go away from the Doctor having romantic connections with very young girls, because it's not a good look, if you ask me. And by Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday actually being Susan, I'm not saying that's the case, but if it was the case, that would solve all these problems. Listen, the 50th anniversary really was, before we saw what it was, fans were worried. Fans are worried about the 60th. I have my concerns. People say, trust RTD. I love RTD. And I absolutely do trust the man, but that doesn't mean I don't have concerns, because the 50th at least had, a Doctor in place who had been around already for 3 seasons in 5, 6, and 7. We had an established Doctor leading the 50th anniversary special. We won't have an established Doctor. We have a Doctor from the past in David Tennant, who's not even that version of the Doctor, according to everyone. Again, I've never heard Russell say this specifically, but apparently it's a thing. David Tennant is going to be the 14th Doctor. I think the whole situation is really weird. It kind of freaks me out that David Tennant is another version of the Doctor, and he's not wearing Jodie's clothes. I was watching The Woman Who Fell to Earth yesterday. One of my favourite things about that is she's wearing Capaldi's clothes, and she's going, well, you know what? Half an hour ago, I was an old white-haired Scotsman. Cool. And she's wearing Capaldi's clothes so well. It's a facet of the Doctor Who regeneration stories that the new Doctor is wearing the previous actor's clothes. And I don't care if Jodie was wearing a thong fucking bikini. David should be wearing it. So I think that's very, very problematic. Now, Jodie's Doctor isn't one of my favourite Doctors, not even close. The Chibnall era isn't one of my favourite eras, but that doesn't matter. I'm a Doctor Who fan, and I want all these actors to be respected. Now, Russell says, a man wearing a woman's clothes is disrespectful, but, isn't that a tad controversial in itself? So I think David and Ncuti should both be wearing those clothes. It should, but look, let's be honest about this. And I've discussed this on this channel before. It's nothing to do with disrespecting Jodie or a woman's clothes. It's because they don't want David Tennant running around in Jodie's costume. It's as simple as that. It's not even that bad. It's a cool, unique, random costume, like all the Doctor Who costumes are. And there'll be nothing wrong with them wearing it. And talking about a woman's clothes, they're not like genderized women's clothes anyway. The bottoms are literally trousers. She's wearing boots. She wears the braces and the jacket. So I don't really understand what the issue was with David and Ncuti wearing that costume. But we have seen some new on-location pictures. Now, we have seen a politician getting elected. He looks like a nationalistic kind of, typical nationalistic politician who's been elected as PM or MP or whatever. And he's all about putting Britain first and all of that. So, of course, the Twitter Doctor Who fans and the propaganda merchants on Twitter have been saying, all you lot saying RTD weren't going to be woke, and look at what he's doing. Look, this is such mid-commentary. Clearly, it's commentary of the Tories being in control of the UK right now. It's a commentary on Brexit. It's mid-level commentary. Not all commentary is woke. or extremist or, you know, extreme left or whatever, or SJW or whatever you want to brand it as. It's just Russell doing his thing. So I have absolutely no issue, and I've muted so many idiots on Twitter. So you see, you said it wasn't woke. We're about to celebrate the 60th year of Doctor Who, and all you can do is stir the fucking pot. Be excited that you've got an on-location picture and you've seen something that we're going to see in Doctor Who. Now, all of that apparently is set in 2046 or something, so that's kind of interesting and exciting. But yes, I do trust RTD. I still have my concerns about the 60th, but I'm quite sure it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see what he gives us. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection, and I'll see you again in the next video. I hope you'll be back for that. Please subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again later on. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.